All right, peace and blessings, family. This is your radio host, Nikki Love, a.k.a. Bunam, your spiritual guide, along with my sister, my co-host, Messiah Soul. Messiah Soul. Check this out.
Nikki Love.
My cruise to Nav. My cruise to Nav.
I know. I was sitting out here jamming. You know what, Nikki Love? What a day. What a day. What a day. I tell you. I just got off the phone with my tia, my auntie, right?
Okay.
And we were talking. And we were talking about what's going on with the tornadoes, and I said, I said, you know, we're in the age of Aquarius. I said, the jig is up. I said, those who go to church and everybody else, if you ain't getting it right, you're going to learn the lessons this year, if anything. Because, you know, she go to church, and she was like, you got that right. And then she said, well, I guess it's over. I said, it is. The jig is up.
That's right.
The jig is up. That's it. Get it right. Even in the conscious community, get it right.
That's right. They got to get it right. They ain't got no choice but to get it right. You hear what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
Any
brothers out there arguing, Nikki? Any brothers in the conscious community arguing and, you know, bond together with your brother because when it's about to go down, Nikki. That's all I know. It's about to go down. You see what's happening in Florida?
What happened in Florida?
You got some storms down there by Miami, over there, in the Keys, and the storms are just sitting. They ain't going nowhere. But it's not a hurricane, like you said. Nature got a trick.
Well, people, first, let me say this real quick. Those who just joined us in the chat, we're going to wait for it to fill up a little bit more. We have our special guest tonight, ATUN-RE Speaks, and he's going to be speaking on his book called The Living Books, okay? So we'll bring him in a minute, family. We're going to let the chat room, I see it's filling up now. So our special guest tonight is ATUN-RE, and he's going to be speaking on his book, The Living Books. So be sure to, sit back and enjoy, And then, of course, we go to our 11 o'clock break and take our break. But, Sister Messiah, I told you the Stargate has been open yesterday, and it is now officially the time of the divine feminine energy. You hear what I'm saying?
Ashe.
So, I went outside of them a little ritual today and embraced the great mother's energy, you know what I'm saying? And it was like a beautiful thing, And my grandson, he came and said, Nana, he said, the sun is calling you. He said, let's go outside,
Wow.
Okay, he said, let's go outside.
Wow.
And he says to me, he says, we have to go out and talk to the sun before the sun goes on. So I took him outside, carried him out. We was talking to the sun, how it goes. But anyway, I was watching, and I had a very interesting conversation with a brother out of Colorado today that was telling me how to, go and look at planet Nibiru with my iPhone, how to take a picture, and I'll see planet Nibiru. So, everybody's on this spaceship, spaceship vibe, and a lot of people are seeing sightings. And he said he's been seeing them all the time. He's up in the mountains, So definitely a pleasure to talk with the brother. And it was funny because I think Sister Alvasai, he thought he was the only one. I said, no. I said, brother, we've been talking about this for the last couple of weeks now, especially, when we did the show on the Galactic Federation. I said, but no, a lot of people are actually having sightings, or seeing UFOs. I said, so this is real. But you know why I made the song, the Cosmic Anthem, because I said in the song, and we'll play that during the break, that they are coming. And see, people think it's a joke and think it's a game. I done predicted so many things that came to pass, people, and it's not about bragging. It's a message that's sent through me, okay? And I want the people to understand these are messages that my ancestors and give to me, the ancient ancestors and the spirits. And let me tell you something. When I said they're coming, okay?
So true.
So people need to pay attention.
It's true. My auntie was telling me, she said, I was in Brooklyn, and she said, I don't know, I looked up in the sky, she said, a few years ago, and I saw this ball of light coming out the sky. She said, I thought it was a plane on fire. So she said, I got home, turned on Channel 4 News, but there was nothing. They didn't say anything about it. The point is, Nikki, things are happening every day. I got I'm sure Nubian got to send you that. It was something from YouTube about the UFO conference in Canada. I was watching it today. I was watching it. I was like, damn. So they're talking about how a lot of the United States government, the Bilderberg Group, Trilateral Commission, and things like that, they know. They know. He said, I know 5 alien races, but there's lots more. They know.
Oh, yeah, they know. And they've been knowing. It's no secret anymore. And the thing about it, too many people are having sightings. Everybody can't be seeing across the world, the same thing. People are not lying. I don't care what nobody say. Ain't nobody lying. Ain't nobody lying. You over in England and you seeing UFOs. You in Russia and you over here in the United States. Is everybody goddamn crazy? I don't think so.
Right. Wow.
I don't think so. But, Sister Messiah, I'm excited to have this guest on the show tonight talking about the book. Brother's very, very knowledgeable, has a lot of wisdom, family. And some of you may have heard him on here before, but we have a lot of new people, so some of you may not have heard ATUN-RE speak. But we're going to go ahead and bring him in because it's already 10:16. We're going to bring him in. Okay, here we go. ATUN-RE, are you there? ATUN-RE,
yes,
707. Okay.
Hi, Nikki. How you doing?
I'm good. Peace and blessings. How are you?
Some blessings to you all also. Without question, let me send my love to the entire family. Send my love to everyone in the listening audience. I want you to know that if indeed you are hearing me in this minute, in this hour, in this time zone, which is not a time frame, but is indeed, framed in by many of those who are nameless to us. Let me just say this, that if indeed you are hearing me and you are here with us right now, without question, this is where the Most High intends for you to be. Because if it was intended for you to be somewhere else, guess what? You would be there. So the question then becomes, well, why am I, wherever I am, whenever I am, wherever I am? And the answer is quite simple. Because in that spot, only right there, exists the information that you need to grow and develop as a being. Because if what you needed to grow and develop as a being was somewhere else on this blue rock that they misappropriately so called Earth, and or even in the galactical heavens, then guess what? You would be there. So, without further ado, let it be that which it must be. For the will of Anu is indeed a frequency that is frequently moving, and without question, when the Most High stands for you, who is there that can stand against you? And it is the power of the Most High that moves us all. Without question, everything that moves has a spirit. But without question also, everything that moves does not have a soul. Because many people in this day and time have literally gone out of their minds and have incorporated into self idealisms, mentalities, idiosyncrasies that do not come from them. People think that every thought that enters their mind is their very own. But without question, telepathic communication is indeed real, but it can be disrupted, interrupted, corrupted, and you could be thinking that you are being telepathically communicated to by your ancestor, when indeed there are beings who will pose and become the imposter, doing what many might think to be impossible, which is to fool even the very elite. Always judge the tree by the fruit that it bears. But without question also know that you cannot examine the bark before you examine the root. And then you must move from the root to the bark, and from the bark to the branches, and from the branches to the leaves, and then you will find your way to the fruit. And question, does each fruit become ripe at the exact same time? No, it does not. See, because many do not realize that there is a time that sits in between time. You see, everybody's on the tick and the tock, forgetting that indeed there's a rest that exists in between. Tick, rest, tock, rest. And it is in the rest that you will find the rest of it. The joy of having the answer is 85% of the battle already won, meaning to be properly informed. And there's a lot of information that we come by in our day-to-day lives, and without question, we all are living souls. And for a living soul, there must be a living information, which is why I've taken the time to sit down and bring to you all very shortly here now the living book. For its pages are alive, meaning when you read, as you read, pay attention to the things that go on around you, and then you will see the power of each word that is written therein. For my father introduced right knowledge, a divine information without question that has rocked the nation, the entire globe. In fact, it is still administering to each and every one of their globes as we speak. And how many of you have ever took the time to ask the question that indeed, if indeed they are so illuminated and, so gloriously lit up, why is it that no one ever sees them? Sees their faces, know who they are? And without question, most of us are very, very quick to say Illuminati and speak in terms of these beings and, the fact that they declared themselves to be so overly intelligent, above and beyond everyone else. But how intelligent were they if indeed they didn't disinclude themselves when they said all things must come to an end? Because they weren't smart enough to say all things but us. And in this now, their own doing is about to become their own undoing. And without question or questioning, we as a people are more than doers. We are deciders. And once the decision is clear and seen to be made firm, the doing becomes effortless. Many will say, easier said than done. No. It's done then made easy. If you but let yourselves see where many refuse to look and take the time to know. Everything you need, many are looking in all the wrong places, and they have so many things to say about all the races and people that are on this blue rock that seem to be racing each other to a destination that many seem not to know. However, these are sacred days, and, even the deaf, dumb, and blind can feel it that indeed something is about to occur. Well, how many of you take the look to see too with your eyes closed? Just so much more. The distractions will be through. The confusion will be, less than. And in this, it is not a lesson that you will learn, because a lesson is not a greater. It is not about being made less than. It's about being made greater. But how can you be the great thing that you are if indeed in each of you there's not some sort of sense of greatness? And in order for there to be a sense of greatness, that means you must be grateful. You must be full of some sort of greatness. And how can you be full of some sort of greatness if indeed you don't see the small things and take the time to be thankful for everything that is good that is happening to you or for you? Is a blessing without question. And there's only one place that blessings come from. So count each one and be forever thankful. But up and above counting your blessings, be sure to make your blessings count. Because we are dealing with a situation where if you all as a whole do not hit the bullseye hits you. So be sure to do that which you, came here to do. Because many of you will write the letter pointed at its bottom and call it a W. How is it that you can't see that's a double V? But many of you will write it with it rounded at the bottom and know that indeed it is the letter U seen in its doubled capacity. Every day you leave home, a W leaves with you. The higher you and the lower you. The higher you knows exactly what it's here to do.
and it will move relentlessly towards fulfillment of this goal, while the lower you doesn't have the slightest clue and can only prove to do just one thing, which is to forever get in the higher you's way until the day comes where a holy matrimony of higher self and lower self takes place. It's called the sacred marriage of self. That's when the lower you makes the decision to move out the higher you's way, because the higher you has a destiny, meaning it must be in a designated place at a designated time doing a designated thing. And ask yourselves, are you not in a designated place right now? Are you all not doing a designated thing even as I speak, which is to listen to what is being said? And then know of a surety beyond doubt, because whoever said, give them the benefit of a doubt. Have you ever heard a person say, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt? Well, that's a damn fool, because there's no such thing as benefiting in doubt. What type of benefit do you get from doubting? And the truth is, how many of you have doubted along the way as, you know, the day by day would come and go, and the elders were sent your way to speak to you, you know, all being prep cooks waiting for the day where the master chef would come. Remarkable beings they are, without question. Each of you can go back in the mind's eye right now and mark them once again, seeing them, who they were, what they said, and how it touched you within. Now, there's more, because there's a day and a place, for there is no such thing as space or out of space. Because space, number one, is always filled, even if there's nothing there. And out of space is also as equally to be an impossibility, because you all are sitting in space right now. So know that there is a place where the question and the answer become one. And it is here that many of you, as you approach this place, to you and for you, it will appear as if you're moving backwards. But indeed, you are just traveling along the circle's curvature. For the circle, in turn, is returning to its starting point. So if you start at 12 o'clock and you get to 3, you will see yourself in a forward motion. You get to 6, it will definitely still be every bit of forward to you. But when you move from 6 on to the 9, it will start to appear as if you are moving backwards. And appearances, without question, are a necessity also. How do you know? Because the sun doesn't rise, nor does it set. So if it appears to do so, that in itself tells the very best a story, which is that appearances are necessary. For if they were not, listen, they would not be happening in nature. So protect the appearance of it all. What do I mean by that? If indeed there's a time or a place where, say, for instance, on your face exists no mud, meaning no shame, no blame, for you have done everything you know to be right. But if indeed there's an appearance thereof that one can look at and see as not being all wise, right, and exact, the images of it all remain inside. The person who bears witness to. And so the responsibility belongs to you and us all to protect the appearance, because everything that people see, hear, these things are the programming agents. For people are programmed and learn to grow and or fall by the wayside by the things they see and hear. So, without question, I used to use a great deal of profane language, but the truth is they call these, curse words. Why does he curse so much? Well, a long time ago, these words were not curse words. They were blessed words. Why? Because they expressed the very most. It wasn't until they tried to speak like us that indeed they learned something, that their rhythm and tone was off. And in this, that's when your blessed words became curse words. And to you, somewhere in it all, we all got cut off because we allowed them to define and redefine what was right and wrong in our mind. For they say you have multiple choice. But how many of you know that or knew that multiple choice is actually no choice at all, if indeed I am the being who is jam-packing your selection pool? Now, they can say, well, he didn't have to be a crackhead. He could have grew up and went to school. Mm-hmm. Well, let me ask you a question. Where did you learn your first curse word? And where did you have your first fight? And where did you, my brother, hump your first little girl? That's right, in school. And if indeed you didn't send your child to school, or your parents didn't send you, they could get arrested and or locked up for not sending their children or our children or you to the devil himself. Because in public schools, how could it ever be a private situation, and or even in private situations which are indeed open? We do know that a private in an army holds a less rank than a general. So I never speak in private terms. The truth of the matter is I speak in general terms. Speaking in terms by which, it affects the many as opposed to the few. And, if the shoe fits, wear it. And know that a can of Get Right doesn't cost much. $1.98 at every corner store, because either you get the can of Get Right or you are about to get a can of Get Gone. And tears in your eyes, because you will know that indeed you were warned. Many of you, whatever you do, without question, anyone who comes along who has the ability to pull the cover, it's all good to talk about somebody else, but when that truth and or information is directed at you and yours, then you become offended and will, without question, jump right on the defensive. Thinking something that most of you already know is true. Because isn't it ironic that many people on this planet will take more time looking at the things they don't like as opposed to the things they do?
Yep.
And what's sad about that is that's all you'll ever see if that's all you are focusing on. And without question, if you focus on it, it ain't going to do anything but magnify in your life. So, give life to the good things by paying more of an attention to those. Every time we take the time to gather, we speak in terms of so much that is wrong. Well, let's talk about some things that are right. It's right that we have life. It's right that we have love. But without question, how many really know what true divine love is? Because each of you, if you are in a relationship and or marriage, must understand that you carry to that relationship your view of what love is. And each individual being is as unique as their fingerprints. Tell the truth and shame the devil. No two beings on this planet are identical, not one. not even identical twins. And so, each of you carry your own personal view of what love is, how it is supposed to be lived, dispersed, and lived through. Well, if you were to close your eyes, that afforded view, let's call that your screen. Right there, you carry your view of what love is, and without question, if you are a beautiful being and not mean, because each of you must know the difference between apple butter and that which stinks, because one is sweet and one has a nasty odor. But what I will tell you is this. You know, like I do, that your view is as unique to you and me, like mine is as unique to me and you. But if you love someone, you have to delete a portion of your screen, affording their view a forum and or, a place where it is all for them. And then you must appreciate and consider. Because other than that, you're not loving them, you're loving your view of what love is. And that's not love at all. Because everyone has a perspective. Perspective is solely owned by the individual. It doesn't make it right, doesn't make it wrong, it just makes it yours. Mm-hmm. And we're so quick to, push our perspective, which makes us no more, no less than judgmental monkeys. Sitting around judging when indeed, while standing and or living in a glass house, you should not throw rocks. Mm-hmm. Guaranteed they will not bounce off the walls. And in this, there will be a shattering experience if indeed you continue along that path. All of us, even Amorites, have a right to live, because you cannot take away from the all. Because if indeed you were to take one thing away from the all, then the all would cease to exist. And you cannot add to the all, because if the all is already present, where would you get it from? Because the all is. But the all, in its infinite wisdom, knew that it was lacking one thing. So what did it do? It decided to turn within in order to continue, so that it would not continue to go without the one thing that it knew it was lacking, and thereby losing its legitimacy as the all because of this factor. And the one thing that it was lacking was the knowledge of itself as being the greatest of all things. And why could it not know itself as the greatest of all things? Because it was all there was. So it had not the means until it created a condition. By turning within for the very first time in that glorious moment, it created the conditions of that which is here, standing opposite of that which is there. And unbeknown to itself, a third condition rose, which was that which sat in the center of the two, which was that which was neither here nor there. See, because the knowledge is necessary without question, but it is not a sufficient condition until you experience. See, facts are things that can be substantiated by one of three things: evidence, reason, and or experience. And they will say experience is not the most practical of the three. Without question, it is not, because you may have experienced something that I've yet to experience, and it will not be a fact to me until I experience it also. But it is the most powerful of the three. Because the one thing you cannot ever have to come to a place that can be taken from you is the experiences that Anu has afforded you. Many of you have bore witness to some miraculous things without question. These things were designed and afforded to you, listen, so that they could fortify your feet in a time in which you would need a foundation strong. Because if indeed you saw those things, know this, that you were so blessed to do so. And without question, that blessing belongs to you, but it can also turn to a curse if indeed you were to lose sight in the mind's eye of what you were afforded to see. That many could live a lifetime and not ever see not a tenth of. So as you sit up and you talk about having seen the ships, having bore witness to miraculous things in our skies, always know that there's another being somewhere who hasn't. And they, without question, can listen and say they're not telling the truth only because that being has not been afforded what you have. And the truth is, was it afforded to you for no reason? Or was it afforded to you for you to be able to bear witness to something that should trigger something inside of you to live and be different in a better way, by which each day you improve upon thyself towards a state of perfection that is pristine, pure, and will one day become permanent? If indeed living is that valuable to you. Most of our people are not scared of dying. You can sit up and talk about this doomsday experience, how, the great balls of fire are coming and, this is going to happen, and it will, only for those who refuse to do what they know nature and or the righteous should do, without question, which is something that you yourself would not mind having done unto you. But if indeed you do things, always know that try not to be mean and or vindictive, because you create a condition by which what goes around doesn't just keep on going. And we all are knowing, many of us, but many of us are not, because we are, or should I say you are, enosites, meaning forgetful creatures. And this is a time in which you all are being called upon by, listen, the man of the second part of the hour. For my father was the man of the first part of the hour, which was afforded to him by virtue of the fact he was given 30 years, the space of a half hour, which was from 1970 to the year 2000, in which, without question, he met the mark, performing his, how should I say, obligations and or responsibility, with a pristine purity of eliteness, the highest caliber, in fact, of outstanding, enthusiastic, realistic work having been done. That none could say that they, if they were there, did not bear witness to. But without question, him being an elect mutajasid and or a mujaddin, meaning the reformer of this day and time, only put in place the need for one to come after him who would be the reminder, and that, without question, is me. Because each of you are going to be called upon to do a divine thing in this day and time, and that is to remember. Meaning to become members again of a specific team and family in order to be able to get done what you came here to do. Because they give you a word called carnal, which is spelled C-A-R-N-A-L, and I spell it out to you because the spell must be broken. And if you look up at the definition, it says, pertaining to the human body. Well, what they did was to take the N-A-L off, and in this, the word car was born. And they said this is a physical vehicle that will carry human beings from point A to point B. But what they did not tell you is that the human body vessel is a car also, and that each of you are on a ride called life. And you are looking at this ride through the windows of your car called your eyes. But this is a special car. Want to know why? Because its doors are locked. And you signed on the dotted line. Everything that is happening, believe it or not, but it is true, has already occurred. You all, as well as myself, all of us are catching up to ourselves, because if indeed these things had not already occurred, how were they seen in the pages of the Book of Life when you yourself viewed the pages as they were turned? See, because never do you take into consideration what you hear said when you hear words like reincarnation. Well, just what is really being said. Re is a prefix which means to do. In is the opposite of out. So we are a reincarnation of people, no doubt. Each of you have lived embodiment after embodiment after embodiment, all meant to be, without question. Mm-hmm. But if you were to question yourselves, how many of you remember the life before this one? How many of you remember when you were there? And without question, there must be a catalyst by which these things are put in motion. A catalyst is like a pebble. If we were to be standing on, say, a low bridge that was stretched over a small brook, and we took a pebble and dropped it into the water, we would see a thing called the ripple effect. And without question, the catalyst must come from a piece of the cornerstone. And the cornerstone, without question, each of you own, inside your hearts. Each of you have a discerning spirit, no doubt. The ability to differentiate between truth and falsehood. And so, in that, listen to this. If you have a 0 point in mathematics, and to the right of the 0 point you have +1, +2, on up to +9, and to the left of the 0 point you have -1, -2, on down to -9, without question, you would say positive represents good. And I would say right, and that's why you go to the right of the 0 point to get there, because right is also the opposite of left. Mm-hmm. And to the left of the 0 point is, without question, tell me I don't know what I'm talking about, they say is -1. And negative represents evil, right? Mm-hmm. And notice how I kept saying right. It lets you know that even in that negative state, some good is brought there also. Well, why? Because you're going to the left. And when you say going to the left to get the -1, that's like, nigga, I'm leaving you. Because in order for something to leave, to have left, that means it would have had to have gotten up and been in a leaving position. Now, if we were all to return to the center of the 0 point, question, in order to get the +1, don't you have to get up and leave to get there? Mm-hmm. So each of you, listen, each of you, even in the good that you do, you bring negative with you. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You see, so create a balance in knowing that now the man has become like one of us. See, and what do I mean by that? They've been feeding you all dualities for a long time that are not realities, which is why you all are having such a hard time in a three-dimensional world making sense of it. Because what they did was to take the center of everything out. And let me tell you something. Each of you was introduced to white light, no question, a little bit too fast, a little bit too soon, and a little bit too abruptly, where your transition from the etheric realm into a physical existence did not run smoothly. You see? So, this is why, and part of the reason, by which you all are still having such a hard time, because, and without question, always know this, family, that while in the physical body and on the physical plane, the number 3 governs you, rules, and without question, in it you will remain while in that physical vessel and or car that you now drive. And either the question becomes, are you driving your car, or is your car driving you? Because, again, if indeed you're not driving your car, then your car can literally drive you crazy. If indeed you are so lazy as to not be able to say no to it. Because every time your stomach growls, it does not mean you have to put some food in your mouth. And every time you got to go to the bathroom does not mean that you have to answer to that. Sometimes say no and be in control. And then you will start to regain, listen, the ability to grab the steering wheel and will your way into a particular type of existence by which you are not sitting in a state by which you live beneath the poverty line and or, listen, are miserable. See, because, a long time ago it was said that you seek for the truth and the truth will, you shall find it and the truth will make you free. It didn't say set you, it said make you. Mm-hmm. Now, the question is, how come nobody ever took the time to say free from what? Because if indeed you're standing in a state of freedom already, then there would not be a necessity to be made free. That means some sort of bondage must be in place. And this bondage each of us are sitting in right here today, it is a prison. And without question, its walls are invisible. And in a literal box, right now you sit, look around you, and you will see the angles of it. And without question, these angles are only there because they're constantly trying to find an angle by which to deal with us. As we sit here in this forum and speak, how many of you think for 1 minute or even a half a second that indeed they're not listening? And listen, and not with a conventional means, meaning one that you all are accustomed to, because they put sound on a cassette tape by magnets. Right? Magnets is what puts sound on a cassette tape. If you didn't know, now you do, because ATUN-RE just told you. And the one thing you cannot say is you were not what? Told. And what puts sound and imagery, listen, on a VHS? Again, magnets. And without question, it didn't say many are called but few are chosen because the Most High is bending down out the sky, hand-picking and or selecting. No, the few that are chosen are only chosen because they make the right choice. And without question, enthusiasm stands opposite procrastination. So never be a nation that does just enough to be able to say, I done something. That's like doing nothing, because nothing is still something, because when you introduce the word nothing, you're saying no thing, which sums up to something. That's why there's no such thing as space, because space is always filled, even if there's nothing there. But there's also no such thing as out of space. See, so that's the place where the question and the answer become one, which is the next level, Because each of you have questioned, and without question, let me tell you something, you would not grow. It's only by your questions that you grow. And there are those of us who are here without question to be the question and the answer for you in a time in which you would need it the most. Because each of you, I know you've read Footsteps in the Sand and or have had it read to you. Well, my father wrote that and gave it to the world as a gift by not signing his name to it. And without question, here today, many things that I've written and put out, everyone who knows me knows without question or doubt that at the end of it, I would say, signed ATUN-RE. Mm-hmm. Now, know this, that we who are your elders sit in seats because we carry a particular type of signature that is unique. It's what affords us the seat in the first place because of certain qualities, abilities, and certain things that, listen now, the Most High saw in us as being unique. Now, many will want to be the chief. You got a whole bunch of Indians, but you can't have a tribe if every Indian wants to be a chief and wants to sit there and smoke. like broke stoves, because hell is not a burning fire. Hell is a burning desire that is put in place when you strike the match or strike the big lighter to smoke what you smoke. And without question, many of you sit around and don't try and say that you don't, because you do. And if you sit there and say you don't, you're lying, and you know it's true. The marijuana you smoke, without question, many of you don't know, is a ceremonial herb. Amongst our Native American Indian brothers, it was used, listen, when discrepancy would rise in the home, meaning argument between husband and wife, father and son, sister and sister, sister and mother and daughter, etc., etc. Why? Because them two arguing Negroes, the beings who still needed to grow, would keep the rest of the tribe up all night. And then, come daybreak, two very strong braves would come to their teepee and say, the chief would like to see the two of you. And they would be escorted therein, and in that teepee, the chief would be sitting there and the medicine man sitting right there also. And the THC gave you 2 hours of consciousness by which to work your problems out. And then it was established that if it could work between two people, perhaps it could work between nation and nation, meaning between tribe and tribe, when discrepancy broke out between, say, the Blackfoot and the Crow, or between, the Cherokee and the Sioux. And soon we came to know, until the day came, that there was a person who came from Fort Bragg, Yellowhead being, Captain so-and-so. And we invited him in as our honorary guest. And without question, we allowed him to speak, and all of us spoke, even our very best. We ate, laughed, and lived as a family for that moment. And then when Captain so-and-so went back to Fort Bragg, bragging, about how he had experienced something that none of them had, he then went on to tell, or tried to tell, the herb's secret, of which he himself only knew one side of. He said these beings have a herb that, when ingested in a smoked capacity, brings a feeling of peace upon whoever indulges. But little did they know, when they would come back to raid our holy land, that me and Sitting Bear would be in the tree looking on. And as they walked across the land that we buried our grandmothers in and on, and our grandfathers and our children who had died, Sitting Bear, he drew his bow, and I said, no. Sit back, let's watch and see. Because look with thy eyes. And in seeing what we saw, we sat there and laughed. Because we knew what they knew not, which was the herb's secrets, of which, because it was a family situation, it was none of their business. And on that note, which is why here today, many still don't know, it's not the herb, it's the paper that you are rolling it in that got touched by the devil. And anything that is good, if touched by the devil, can be turned to evil. But anything that is evil, if touched by we who are, can be turned back to good, if your love is strong enough. And what I will say is that, they put forth a diabolical combination, because we have a combination of A plus B equals C, which is moving forward. Why? Because everything in nature that is healthy has 3 directions of preference. 2 you can see and 1 you can't, which is forward, first one. Because if indeed you were to drive your car and solely look through the rearview mirror, isn't it inevitable that indeed that car will crash? So keep your eyes on the road ahead, because that will give you the information to let you know where you're going. And The rule is look through the rearview mirror once every 19 seconds, only for 3-second intervals, though. Don't get stuck. View like a movie, y'all, in which you don't become emotionally attached to what you bear witness to in terms of the things that you used to do, so that you don't get caught up, like in Chicken Today and Feathers Tomorrow. Or should I say, where it should be, Feathers Today and Chicken Tomorrow. And we might get a little French fries with some catch-up. Well, we don't need to catch up because we're already caught up in the mix of it, you know, many of us. And how many of us really take the time to stop and think when we see, you know, the brother with the high beams on, or, you know, we all got them in our family, and what do? Y'all push them further out the door. And is that the mind and or compassion of a tribe that is supposed to be compassionate? Because without love, you have absolutely nothing.
That's right. Commercial break soon, Brother ATUN-RE, but go ahead.
You know, I just want to say this. The reason many of you are suffering is because you all have forgotten the very, most important thing, which is how to love each other. Sincerely, I'm not talking about, you know, that crap that many are experiencing now, which is a, mutated form of love by virtue of the fact that you've been fed an illegitimate opposite. Because you can't know what a thing is until you know what a thing is not. You can't know hot till you first know cold. And you can't know up till you first know down. Because it's only by coming in contact with the things true, check this out, an exact opposite, that indeed a thing is legitimized. Meaning, like if the true and exact opposite of a bee is a flower, and I come along and I say, no, it's an apple, and you believe me, keyword, then do you know you could be looking at a pear all the days of your life thinking it to be a flower, and no one can tell you different, because that becomes your reality. Only because you were fed an illegitimate opposite. And if I was to say to the listening audience right here now, what is the true and exact opposite of love? Many right off the bat, without question, it's a fact, and don't feel bad because that is a fact that cannot be denied. Many will say hate is the true and exact opposite of love. And I'll say, what if I hate catching a cold? What if I hate negativity? What if I hate bloodshed? What if I hate everything that's wrong that's happening to the children? Is hate seen under that type of light a negative and or evil thing? No. Want to know why? Because hate is not the true and exact opposite of love. Hate is like a match, family. Meaning, it depends upon the intent of the striker. What do I mean by that? Like with a match, and a particular type of intent, I can strike that match and choose to throw it into the fireplace of a home, correct? I could ask the children to gather around and warm themselves. I mean, we could even roast marshmallows. It becomes a very beautiful thing. But with that same match and a different type of intent, I can choose to be mean, meaning instead of choosing to throw it into the fireplace of the home, I can choose to burn the house down. So, hate is not the true and exact opposite of love, which is why here today you all have forgotten how. Because you were fed an illegitimate opposite from the start, which is causing you to experience, many of you, a mutated form of love, which we who are your elders called a lip service. Oh, I love you, yeah, but let me need somewhere to go. Oh, I love you, yeah, but let me need something to eat. Oh, I love you, yeah, but let your problems be a little bit stronger and bigger and badder to you than what you see my problems to be, and the help that I'm calling on you to get then goes out the back door, where you don't love me anymore. Why? Because self-preservation is the first law. But there's a thin line between self-preservation and out-and-out selfishness, which is a line that you do not want to cross, because without question, you all, there are many fish in this sea. And the one fish you don't need, and every time you catch him, mother had it, throw it back. Meaning, motherfucker, parlez-vous français. Throw it back. Want to know why? Because it is the self-fish. meaning the ones that don't care nothing about anything or anybody other than themselves. And these are the same ones here today who will smile in your face, embrace you, be all that they can be in the phoniest of ways.
Mm-hmm.
See, but when it comes down to the come down, without question, they're not there, to pick you up when you might need them to. Because love, real love, produces and never does it abandon you. You see?
Mm-hmm.
So the truth of the matter is, if indeed a man, and I'll speak as an adult, they're not children on this line, would you imagine? No, but then again, I'm going to speak lightly because they could be. What I will say is that love produces more than just the noise. You see? And here today, because many don't know what the true and exact opposite of love is, this is what's standing in your way. Well, let me remove that obstacle now because, without question, not one dot nor tittle nor capital letter and or comma will hit the ground. Because it is quite simple that every stone will be overturned, and what's up underneath there, y'all, without question, you will learn, and it won't be through a lesson. You don't want to have any lessons because that's less than you, less than great. Because if indeed I am in the image and after likeness of God himself, then without question, I am also what God is. And how you going to tell me I got to be to a meeting on Thursday? I get there when I get there, if I get there at all, but I make the choice. At the end of the day, it is by your choices you either succeed or fail. And the only thing that stands in between failure and success is one word: preparation. To be properly prepared. And without question, to be properly prepared means to take the problem back to its origin. If you are in a state of analyzation, assessment, and or evaluation of an issue, start it at its origin. Anybody who you give a book, and if the fool opens it up and goes right to the center of it or to the end of it, raise your eyebrow, because that fool ain't got good sense. Because you don't start at the end of it. So judge the tree by the fruit that it bears, but start at the root, y'all. And without question, always know that it started the day you were born. Now, if I say to you, what is the true and exact opposite of love? Many don't know, but let me tell you right here now, it's fear. Fear.
All right, because hold on, ATUN-RE. Get into that fear when we come back from the commercial because we went over time.
No problem.
All right, so we'll get into the opposite of love is fear, Sister Messiah. You hear that, right?
That's right.
All right, family. We'll be right back. Our special guest tonight is Brother ATUN-RE, and he's talking about his book, The Living Books. So I hope you all are taking notes down because it's very good information, people. We'll be right back. You're listening to, of course, Sister Messiah and Sister Nikki Love. We'll be right back, family.
One day when I heard this voice say, "Who are you?" He seemed so blue. Lomba waoni, lomba waoni, wawaosun, wawaoma, leioma, leiawo, wopoegun, kawe, wopoegun, kawe, wopoegun.
Okay, family, this is your radio host, Nikki Love, a.k.a. Wunam, your spiritual guide, and you're listening to our special guest tonight, ATUN-RE, with his book called The Living Books. And Sister Messiah and I are enjoying this, and, you know, we're going to take questions if anybody has. Yeah, very powerful. We're going to take some questions, so if you have a question, press 1 on your keypad. If you don't, then we're going to let our brother continue. He said the opposite of love is not hate, but it's fair.
Right. Right.
Let me explain why I said that, Nikki, if you will.
Sure, go ahead.
Love stands there in times of danger and will sacrifice its greatest gift, which is its life itself, to see to it that another loved one survives, while fear will run and hide. Love, true love, stands forever with its arms open, and forever is it forgiving. Because isn't it ironic that everyone, without question, has done things that they know they had no business, and each of you know it's true, and if you say you haven't, then you're lying to yourself, me, and you. And it will lie right there in your chest in a way by which there's no way you can be the very best at anything you set out to do. Because how can you do something you know you have no business without knowing also that at the end of that rainbow there's not a pot of gold, and without question you will want to be forgiven for what you have done? And that is as true as the rays of the sun. So, how can you be forgiven if indeed you don't know what the word forgiveness really means? The word forgiveness means that you stand for and not against giving. For and not against giving, because either you are forgiving or you are forgetting what this is all about. Because love will give you the shirt off its back. That's a fact. And say, wait a minute, bro. Or wait a minute, sis. Check this out. Does it match your pants? Matter of fact, I got a better one in the closet. Here, try that on. You know, you look good in that. And guess what? That's yours. And no, you don't owe me nothing. And without question, love will never come back and throw in your face what it has done for you at a later time. While fear won't give you nothing. Want to know why? Because it will stand in fear of not having enough for itself. And so on that note, the question then becomes, when you came out of your mother's womb, first off, before that, while in your mother's womb, was the lights on or were they off? Because the truth of the matter is that in triple darkness you sat. And in that triple darkness, all there was the voices, sounds, and frequencies. And one voice you heard frequently, which was your mother's, of which you then became accustomed to as you went through your metamorphosis of 3 trimesters that was constantly trying you. Because the question is, does the caterpillar know that it will be the butterfly? Does it even have the slightest clue that one day it will fly? And without question, the piece of coal has no idea that it will become the hardest known substance to man and shine, called the diamond, which While the caterpillar stands in representation of our sisters, the piece of coal stands in representation of our brothers. And each of you have your job to do, because every time you learn something new that you have never heard and or come in contact with before, what immediately kicks in is called a new, hear that, responsibility. Because the word responsibility means you have now the ability to respond. And so on that note, do you, then becomes the question. As your responsibility kicks and or knocks at your door, ask, and it shall be answered. Seek, and you shall find, and knock, and the door shall be what? Open. And no man or woman or living thing will have the ability to ever close it again, because the one thing you all cannot do is you can't unknow or unlearn what you come to know. You can't go backwards in information. Try to. Just like I told you, the number 3 governs you. How? I'll prove it right now. Try to think of something that isn't a person, isn't a place, and isn't a thing. You bust your brain. And always know, because it can save your life, that there will be 2 things. That's right, on this side of the mirror, out of the 3 that you will see, and 1 that you won't and or can't. You know, because everything is based on person, place, or thing, 1 category, solid, liquid, gas, 2nd category, and past, present, future, 3rd category. And that defines and redefines your entire physical existence. You will see the solid, you will see the liquid, but you will not see the gas. And they will gas you up with high octane if you let them. Because the question is, how much do they really know? I mean, the ones you know at the Ivy League schools of Princeton and Yale, the professors so. Those who profess to know, but do they really know what you and I go through? And indeed, we didn't graduate from an Ivy League school. We graduated from an Ebony League school called the School of Hard Knocks. And without question, that school was hot, but it didn't burn you. But it did have the ability to learn you what you needed to know. And in that, there's no reason to carry shame. Because shame is not our name. Shame comes from ashes to ashes and dust to dust. And without question, everybody wants to turn and ask us. So who are they seeking a sense of guidance from? And if indeed you say, well, who created God, all you have to do is remove the question mark and put the period, and it will stop right there. And stop spelling who, W-H-O. Because whoever told you wrong is spelled W-R-O-N-G was a damn liar. Wrong is spelled R-O-N-G all day long. You cannot get a rook sound from a woo sound. And I don't care what you say or how. And they will say the H is silent, right? Well, the truth is, where did they get that from? I'll tell you where. When they themselves looked on the walls through a stolen legacy, coming through a being who was not great at all, but indeed was an admitted homosexual called Alexander, who came out the closet when they put that library up, because they spoke with a forked tongue. It was library, where the lies have now buried the truth under thousands of sheets of paper, and you got to get in there now and dig it out. They called it a library, and without question, Alexander then became Alexandria. See? And how? Because they came into our schools and temples and halls of higher knowledge that sat in the cities of Thebes, Memphis, and Heliopolis, which is called Upper Tamaray, not Upper Egypt, which is called Upper Egypt here today, because Egypt comes from the word Egyptos, which is what our children called the Greeks. It meant burnt face, of which you and I are not a part of. Because without question, we belong to the Can family. But they've been kicking the can for quite some time. Now we're going to show them what can do. If you know like I do, and without question, you be the judge of. Because Can't never could do nothing and couldn't is Can't's cousin. No family of yours. And without question, Americans are what we are. And you might say, well, wait a minute, you want to lay claim to being an American? Yeah, that's right, y'all. Because the word America or American came from the word Emir and Inca being put together. Emir means ruler. And the question is, how do you rule? As a mere mirror. You see? Because every day you look in the mirror without question, isn't it so that that being looks identical to you in every way? Mm-hmm. And without question, that's the W right there. But you don't know, or you pretend not to, because it will not smile before you do. And again, the higher you knows exactly what it's here to do. The lower you doesn't have the slightest clue that if you enter into a relationship, which many of you do for all the wrong reasons, how can you possibly get right out of it? You enter into a relationship, why? Because you're looking for your, significant other. Ain't wrong. You cannot, your significant other is the reflection of you if you are a significant reincarnate. Because there's three different types of reincarnates: the significant, the insignificant, and the insequential. Because each of you, when seeing the pages in the Book of Life, was graded on what it was you saw. And the questions that you asked to answer. Those who paid close attention answered well. They became significant reincarnates here today, standing amongst us, coming from out the well of what they called Zamzam. Well, without question, Tahuti was sent into the desert to die by his brother, whose name was Nana. And you want to know how I know? Because I was there. And I'm not talking from something that, I read in somebody's book. Because when you read, that merely is mathematics, because read means to re-add it all up. And they say reading is fundamental. Right, it's fun to the mental, but fun is the first three letters in funeral, and you don't die when you do that, but it damn near kills most of you, because anything they want to hide from y'all, they just put it in a book.
Mm-hmm.
You see? But they know you all like to be told. You see? Well, our story must be renewed once every equinox. And there are 24,000 years in an equinox, consisting of 6,000-year periods. Your planets are not swinging around the sun in a circle. They're swinging around the sun in what looks like an egg shape. And the cycles of 6,000 years that swing closest to the sun are sun cycles. And the cycles that are furthest away from the sun are called moon cycles. And don't forget, Michael Jackson did the moon what? Walk. And which did not go frontward. Mm-hmm. You see?
Mm-hmm.
But he was yelling, yee-hee, the whole way there.
Mm-hmm.
As he listened, he professed that Billie Jean, that the child was not his son, right?
But.
Well, I'm not against Mike. Because without question, Mike was, the king of pop, and pop, pop goes the weasel. Just like the little clown popping out the box that they named Jack, that then became J. Jonah Johnson, like in Johnson & Johnson byproducts. Because without question on the plantation, Master John was in the big house. And if you was a slave and a man, you became known as John's son. So they created Johnny Walker Black and Johnny Walker Red because of the Trail of Tears and because of Kunta Kinte, who became known as Toby, which is to be or not to be, a slave. See, and they cut his foot off, right? And you would say, well, right here today, you better not get your foot off because you're going to need that foot to get a job, fool. That you say with it you are making an honest living, but no, you are just honestly sitting there miserable and waiting to die if indeed you ain't doing something you love. And how many of you have jobs like that here today? And I don't care what you say. Even beings like Michael Jackson didn't have money compared to the child that became Roth. You see, and without question, the Rockefellers, you know, the Beers. How is it that a handful of Amorites can go into a country full of Nubians and take every diamond and, you know, create it to the point that, you know, Nelson Mandela had to come apartheid them and tie them up in knots in some type of way? You see, and you're talking about mass hypnosis. Something taking over thousands of people to the point that they can't use their own brains. And here today, if you want to put a fire out, do you step on it or do you step around it? People want to say, well, we're going to have an African Christmas. Yeah, but does it fall on December 25th? And what are you doing to the children when you and your Kwanzaa self, want to alienate yours away from everybody else when they getting toys and yours ain't? And, again, Africa, I'm an African. No, you don't even know what the word Africa means or African. Africa comes from the word Ifriqiya. Don't believe me? Check it out, which means to divide and conquer. Think about that the next time you want to lay claim. And every time you want to lay claim to Mother Earth, know that this planet was named by the Greeks, after a Greek whore. So how can you identify with Mother Earth when indeed that mother is not yours? Mother Nature is yours. Because everything in nature is moving towards the sun's touch. How do you know? Put a planet in the window. While the planet itself is moving away from the sun's touch. As the sun touches it at its equator, it then sends the planet to thinking about itself, which is something that this planet does not want to do. Why? Because it's alive and thinking it should be dead. Because it thinks it's ugly for having been, split in two. Because there was a time when your moon, belonged to it. And when this planet was split into, that rock that you now see in your sky that has no life and or light of its own, it is a non-luminous object, scientific fact, like a gigantic mirror in the sky. And again, a mere mirror. And the question becomes, how do you rule? And the only answer is by just measurement. You see? And there's a measurement in it all when I say Mercury, Venus, Mars, Earth, and without question, these planets of yours, ours, follow and or live by way of staying firm to its orbit, which is or be it, like in to be or not to be. Apple butter or shit. Parlez-vous français? And without question, many of you are still putting your elbows in the toilet bowl because you've yet to figure out the difference between elbow and butt. That's only because you have intellectualized yourself right out the ballpark by becoming judgmental monkeys, looking down your noses at the lesser evolved. When indeed you should not be doing that because you too sat in that same seat before the responsibility was met by your predecessor, meaning those who proceeded and succeeded in doing the thing, not the damn thing, but the blessed thing before you. See? And without question, always know that the job is dangerous. I knew the job was dangerous before I took it and agreed. You see? Because you say, Now the man has become like one of us. He knows one thing good, two things evil. You're still one short in a three-dimensional world, which is why the 144,000 has yet to rise. Because how can you rise or raise 144,000 divine beings with a formula that consists of only two things, and the center thing was taken out? Because they are taking the center of everything out. Why? Because they know the center seat belongs to me. Don't believe me? Check it out. My father is ATUN-RE, which represents sun at its rise. I am ATUN-RE, which represents sun at its zenith, which sits the center seat in between ATUN-RE and Amun-Re, who is my brother. And Amun-Re is, without question, a sun that became a sun first by having been a moon. And you all should continuously be looking at your moon these days, because completion of the Rainbow Project, without question, has already occurred. What you will bear witness to is an orange hue around your moon. It will look smoky, and then it will start to turn as the days go by from orange, listen, to indigo blue and orange, a mixture, indigo blue, orange and yellow, a mixture, indigo blue, orange, yellow, and green, a mixture, until you have every color of the rainbow surrounding it. And in the day you see the rainbow surrounding it as a circle, not a bow in your sky, your moon will then be ignited into yet another sun. And without question, this planet, which now sits at 22 degree, 23 degrees to the right on its axis, will then be put back perpendicular. And without question, you all will experience a thing that will make you feel as if you are suffocating. But do not freak out, because you didn't breathe oxygen in the first place. Because in your mother's womb, was there oxygen, or were you surrounded by water?
By water.
So you breathed out of gills. Your breathing apparatus was not your umbilical cord. That was your food. And without question also, there you sat in triple darkness, and in that triple darkness existed unadulterated divine peace. The absence of chaos and confusion. Chaos and confusion didn't start until the lights came on. And when you all want to get some sleep at night, do you turn the lights on or do you turn them out or off? That's right, you turn them off, because subconsciously you're trying to return to that state of triple darkness from which we all come. And keep in mind, light had to be let. Darkness didn't have to be let. You know, like they say, let you tell it. Nah, you ain't let me tell it. I told it.
Brother ATUN-RE, we got a question from the chat room. Nikki, could you ask him when the moon will become a sun?
Okay, let me explain. These are the days of the warrior. And without question, there is a situation that I wrote about some time ago called Anu's Galactical Chess Move. And let me explain. It came to pass, I was in Augusta, Georgia, when the liaison in between our people and me at
his call dropped. Family. He'll call back in. We'll wait for him to call back in.
Wow. I tell you, Nick, powerful.
Yeah.
The opposite of love is fair. And, I was thinking about Beyonce. Beyonce said, to the left, to the left, I was like,
what? Negative side, huh?
But no, that's real talk. But then it take two negatives. -2 plus -2 is -4. But you still got to add the two, kind of breaking it down. I like that. You still got to have some positive and the negative. There's always a lesson to learn when messed up stuff happened to you.
Exactly.
That's what it is. Yeah, that's the way I look at it. There's always something to learn, but you got to press on.
Oh yeah, you got to keep pressing on. Okay, the brother called back in because we're waiting for him to call back in, family. Might have to plug his phone in or something, so we'll wait for him to call back in. But very, very good information.
Oh, yeah. I started getting when the moon will become a sun.
Yeah, you see how the phone got cut off, though?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
You see how that happened?
Yes, that's what I peeped that.
Okay, let's see if he came back on. Okay, not yet, family. Oh, here we go. Let me see. Hold on real quick. We got an 815. You on the air.
Yeah, the reason why that call dropped because it's a secret.
Oh, that's what you feel?
Yep, I believe because it's a secret, and those that believe in everything and know that everything that he said is true wouldn't question that.
Very true. Very true. Yeah, I kind of feel that in a way, too. It's not meant for him to get that information out. But then again, I will say this. It's time that the truth be told. So what it is that what I'm seeing with Spirit is that what they're doing is they don't want the truth to be told. It's not really a secret because now the time has come when we must be told the truth so we can be aware. You see what I'm saying? So they cut his call, and I know they cut his call. So it's really not a secret. It's a secret they don't want to be told, but it must be told. Hold on for a minute, sis. 510, you on the air.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Mm-hmm. You know, I'd like him to address Nikki. Hello. I really love your show. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Could you, when the gentleman calls back, I've been listening to a lot of it as I'm working out in a gym. I always heard that the opposite of love is indifference. He's saying the opposite of love is fear. Could you ask him to please address that?
Okay, as soon as we get him back on the line, family, because he hasn't gotten back on yet. So I'm going to text him now to see what's going on. Yeah, I'm going to see what's going on. So if we get him back on the line.
Or if you could address that yourself, I don't know.
Well, you know, at the end of the day, I have to agree with him because of the fact, like he said, if you are one that says that the opposite of love is hate, and you hate the fact that they're killing children or they're causing destruction on this earth, wouldn't that be something that would be good to hate because you don't want to see children die? So I have to go with the fact that he says it's fear, because they fear. You understand the fact that you really truly want to love. So I have to agree with him on that.
Mm-hmm. I understand about the hate thing, yes, because there's they're very strong emotions, and I think when they say the opposite of love is indifference is that you don't give like there's no emotion. It was like so you don't feel a need to help, you don't feel any kind of need to have compassion, you don't have any you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So, yeah. Well, that's all. That's pretty much.
Okay. All right, sis. Thank you. Let's see if this is him. Hold on. We're going to go to 928. 928, you're on the air.
Hello?
Yes.
Hi. I have a question pertaining to love and relationships.
Okay. Well, actually, go ahead. We're not doing readings tonight, but go ahead. Well, we're waiting for our guest to call back in.
Okay. My question is, I'm wondering what you see for my love life right now.
What is your first name?
Alfina.
Say it again. Alfina.
Yeah.
Alfina. What do I see for you? Are you dealing with someone right now?
Yeah, sort of.
Okay. It seems like you feel like he doesn't love you the way that you love him, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Why did you pause and say yeah like that?
Because I know he does love me, and right now there's actually some people, other people in my life. He and I are not in a relationship. We are still talking. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, my spirit is feeling that you don't feel like he loves you like he should. Okay. at the end of the day, are you wanting to know about him and your relationship is going to happen, or whatever you're doing? What do you want me to tell you?
Yeah, I guess where do you see it going again?
Say it again.
Like, where do you see it going with me and him? Again?
Well, if you know that he loves you, and then do you love him?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so what happened? Why did you all break up?
I wanted a commitment, as in, like, marriage and, like, family.
And he didn't want to give it to you, right?
No, it's not he didn't want to give it to me. He just said it's not the right time, which was true.
Okay, so at the end of the day, what did I ask you at the beginning? You felt like he didn't love you like you loved him. So if that was the case, then why didn't he marry you?
No, I think it's true. Like, we're just not ready for it. Like, there's so many things we need to do before we can even consider doing that. I mean, you can't just jump into marriage and, you know. So.
Who said so? Who makes those rules?
Me.
Okay. Well, if you made the rule that you can't just jump into it, why would you ask him to do it in the first place?
Well, because that's what I felt at the time, and after we took a break, I thought about it, and I was like, you know, he is right.
Okay. So at the end of the day, you all made a decision together. You didn't make the rules. You made a decision together. Athena, are you a spiritual reader?
A what?
Are you a spiritual reader?
No.
Okay. Do you read tarot cards?
No.
Really? Sister, I'm sorry. What you think?
Oh, I'm detecting, I don't know, Nikki. Yeah. Some form of intuitiveness, but something else is involved here, you know? But you see, you know, Nikki, things could be squared up real quickly.
Well, I'm not going to hold my tongue. Athena, I don't know. How did you hear about the show?
Through Blog Talk.
You were just searching Blog Talk Radio and you found the show?
Yeah, there's like it says on air now. So yeah, that's what I strolled through. Then I found yours.
Okay, so it says on air now, which it says on air now. Does it say we have a special guest on the front line?
I'm not sure. Hold on.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know how you knew that we did readings, but I have a feeling you're not being truthful with me, and I'm just going to be honest. I don't hold my tongue, and my listening audience will tell you. At the end of the day, we are not doing readings tonight. We were doing readings last night, and if you called in to test us, please don't do that. We don't have time to play games. However, if you're not lying, what I see with you and him is that you already made a decision that you all were not going to get together because it wasn't that time. But you're questioning where your relationship is going, which is clearly stating to me that you're not sure, like I said from the door, that he loves you enough, because at the end of the day, you would be with him right now if you were sure of that. Okay? So let's not sugarcoat it and play games here. I want you to be honest with me.
Well,
are you calling to test me?
I gave you all the information. I told you what was going on. You didn't pick up on anything, and I'm
well,
sorry.
First of all, I told you we weren't doing readings, and you're lucky I took your call. So if you really want to get technical, yeah, you better hang up the phone, bitch. She better hang up that goddamn phone. You see what I'm saying? She was calling it. I know what I'm talking about.
I knew it. That's why I said square up right now. That's it.
Square up.
You know.
Exactly. Exactly. Try to call in, pick up on anything, and you see, you see what I'm saying? White ignorant bitch, and I said it, and I hope some white people are listening to this shit right now, because we don't go into their shows and listen and start trouble with them. At the end of the day, my mind is not there, so I'm not focused on doing no readings right now. You told me everything. Get the hell out of here. And you know what? I got her number. She better be careful.
Lying. Hey,
yeah.
Nikki. The bitch lying. This how you know. I can't stand white people either. The bitch is like, this how you know the bitch is lying about every fucking thing. She knows what's going on. Because first of all, I'm a reader too. I picked up the bitch vibe like a motherfucker. The reason why her man don't want to have no damn kids, because he got kids of his own already can't take care of. That's why. And yeah, she was trying to test you. That's the
I know
fuck
she
was
was.
doing. The bitch knew what was going. Shit, she was just trying to test you, bitch. You know why your man don't want to have no kids, and you already know. You already know he don't care about you like that. Oh my God, I cannot stand. Oh my goodness.
But you know what the thing is
right
that kills me is they want to come in here and try to test us and see what she don't know. At the end of the day, you know what she? First of all, she didn't even give her real name. She didn't give her real name. So let's get that straight. Second of all, the bitch don't know that I got her number, and just off the vibrations of her voice, I will make sure that she has a root on her ass. She won't test nobody goddamn else because she got the wrong one. She's not messing with just no little wicked people over here. She don't realize that we got spirits that walk with us. She's already getting attacked. I promise you. I promise y'all she's already getting attacked. All right, family. Now, ATUN-RE is back on. For those who have questions for him, we're going to go ahead and let you take the questions. Hold on real quick. ATUN-RE, you're back on the line. We have a 111 caller. That means we cannot see your number. State your name and where you're calling from.
Hey, sis. My name is Cara. I'm calling from California. How y'all doing?
Good. How are you?
Jeez. I'm good. I came in kind of late on the show. I got home a little late, and I was listening to what the end part of what the brother was saying before he got cut off. He was talking about the planet going into another dimension, and he was talking about the other planets. And I've been listening to other different shows on Blog Talk, and they're talking about us going into the fifth dimension, and he was talking about it won't be no oxygen once we make that transition. Like in other words, we're going into another type of atmosphere away from our sun or away from our solar system. Could he kind of elaborate on that, or maybe you can elaborate on that if you know the information, sis?
Okay, he's going to elaborate right now. Go ahead, Brother ATUN-RE.
Listen, let me say this. First of all, I want you to know that what causes pain, the only reason you have pain at childbirth is because of one word. It's called oxygen. Without question, that is the element that causes pain. But there's one thing about pain when experienced. Pain is the only emotion when experienced that has a way of doing something very divine, which is called getting your full attention. Now, when I said you won't be able to breathe, it's because your gills will start to reopen. See, because before Tamaray, there was the underwater world that was initially called Meren, where you had a group of beings called Lumerians, and the prefix Lu in the ancient language means destroyer of. Now, the thing is, here today, without question, if I were to say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, what language am I speaking, then becomes the question. And the answer is Greek. Many don't know. They think it's English. If I was to say January, February, March, April, May, what language am I speaking? And the answer is Greek. And if I was to say Mercury, Venus, Mars, Earth, what language am I speaking? And the answer is Greek. Earth was not the initial name of this planet. And the truth of the matter is it can be located in, listen, a group of tablets that is referred to as the Enuma Elish. It's spelled E-N-U-M-A, one word, E-L-I-S-H. Now, why do I spell it out? In order for the spell to be broken. Because if it is not spelled out, the spell remains within. See, because if I say in the beginning over here and in the beginning over there, isn't it safe to say I'm talking about the same time frame? Without question. Why and how do you know? Because it's the same exact three words, in the beginning. Now watch and listen and learn. So the truth of the matter is that this planet was called initially, and you can find it on these tablets written in a language called cuneiform, which predates your Hebrew, your Greek, and your Arabic.
be you Christian, Muslim, or Jew. Listen, and this language of cuneiform gives you the name of this planet, the original name, because when you first start to read it, what it's talking about is the birth of your sun in this solar system. You see, it's talking about the birth of what you call the Milky Way, which is the 18th galaxy, of which we who are come from one galaxy over called ATUN, which is the 19th galaxy. Listen, and it is called ATUN, and we who are lived on the 8th planet in that, listen, tri-sun galaxy, meaning there's 3 suns there. And the word it is, or should I say was, your heaven. See, because thy kingdom come, thy will be done where? And it says, as it is, no. Well, now it's as it was, because on May, listen, 5th of 2003, what you refer to as heaven, listen now, which comes from the word haven, which merely means a place where the righteous decided to reside, which was on the 8th planet in the 19th galaxy, which sits one galaxy over from here, called ATUN, which is also spoken about in the Quran of the Muslims, see, who are not really Muslims here today, because the Quran itself says, listen, the greatest of hypocrites is the Arabs of the desert, because they exceed the boundaries of Allah. Now, and when you say Allah, you're talking about the singular form, listen, of the word Allahumma. And when you say Allahumma, it is the equivalent to the word Elohim, which is where you get the word God from. So if I say Elo is equivalent to the word Allah, but who you refer to as Abraham or Ibrahim had 2 children. One child, listen, was named Ishmael, and out of his loins, listen, came the language of, listen, what they call Hebrew today, because Abraham spoke Hebrew only because the word Hebrew means to cross over. And when he crossed the Tigris and Euphrates River, this is where the word Hebrew was born. Now, his son, however, Ishmael, is where you get the language of Arabia. But he tried to retain his father's tongue. But in the desert with his mother, whose name was Hagar, he suffered, and in so much doing, his pronunciation then began to, listen, slip. But instead of saying shalom, he said salam. And in this, Arabic was born. See, you know, Hebrew is the father of Arabic. And so, in this, you have the language of Hebrew today, the language of Arabic, which, keep in mind, those children that came out of the loins of Ishmael became known as the Ishmaelites, 12 tribes in number. But then, he had a brother who was born to Abraham and Sarah. And that child's name was what? Ready? Jacob, right? Or was it Isaac? Which one? No, it was Jacob. Because, again, it was Isaac. Because Isaac had 2 children, one named Esau and the other named Jacob. And the question then became, why is it that Isaac's children wasn't called the Isaacites, like the Ishmaelites became the Ishmaelites? Because as easy as the Ishmaelites was called the Ishmaelites, couldn't it have been, or shouldn't it have been, listen, that out of the loins of that child that came from Abraham and Sarah, shouldn't it have been that his name was, or his children's names would be the Isaacites, like the Ishmaelites became the Ishmaelites? And then the question then becomes, how out of the loins of Jacob did you get the 12 tribes of Israel? You see, of which we as a people lay claim to be here today. But the truth of the matter is that no, that came through a deception that was perpetrated by a woman whose name was Rebecca, who was Isaac's wife. Isaac was blind, and it came time, listen, for the birthright to be passed, meaning, like in other words, the oldest son was supposed to, get what the father, like all the father's belongings would fall on the oldest son, meaning the money, meaning the wealth. Anything that Isaac owned was supposed to fall into the hands of Esau, but Esau was afforded to Isaac by virtue of another woman. And Rebekah, in a state of hatred toward the woman and envy and wanting for her child something that was not supposed to be, because Esau sold his birthright for a bowl of beans. The only reason he did that is because what he was saying to his brother is, no matter what you purchase my birthright for, you will not be the oldest son ever. So I can't sell you, my birthright, because the truth is it's unsellable. You see? Now, but his mother, through an act of deception, Jacob's mother, put a coat over his back because Esau was hairy, brought him into his father's chamber, who was blind, and his father then touched onto the child and thought it to be Esau and gave him the birthright. And out of the loins of, Jacob came the children of Israel. Now stop. Why wasn't they called the Jacobites or the Jacobites? I'll tell you why. Because an act of deception took place, perpetrated by the woman Rebekah. And because she put the woman first. This is why you get is, which stands in reference to Isis. Then she put the man second, which is Ra, which stands in reference to, the we three, of the whom it is that I am, meaning ATUN-RE, and Amun-Re, because I and my Father am one. Now watch. And then she put the Most High last, which was never supposed to happen. That's what divided the family. There wasn't supposed to be the 12 tribes of Israel and the 12 tribes of Ishmael, because it should have been called, the 24 tribes of El, putting the Most High first, Men, which is the God men, the only true fertility god, because there's no such thing as a fertility goddess. And the way you know this is because, question, is the egg fertile in the womb before the sperm touches it? No, the egg is dead. It has no life of its own. So the reality of it is, men are far more pregnant than women can ever be, because from one ejaculation comes 7,777,000 sperm cells that are alive and thinking. They know exactly what they're here to do. And through a struggle, one of them survives and makes it to the egg, which is where you get the word or the symbol called Ankh, which is not spelled A-N-K-H. That's an Ankh upside down, which stands for anchor. You follow? It's spelled U-N-C. You follow me? Because you, in an inward state, will start to see if you but let yourself. Because either you all learn to turn within, or you will continue to go without. Everything you need is not outside of you. The way you know is you should have figured out by now you are on the inside looking out. And you are all mind, and there is no such thing as male or female. Because if you read in your book of Genesis, which shouldn't have been called the book of Genesis in the first place, because those theologians, of your Masonic community was giving worship to and paying homage to, who they referred to as the goddess Isis. It is they who declared her the goddess of fertility, only because they needed a sacrificial goat. Because when they say there was war in heaven, Michael and his angels fought against the dragon and his angels, and as a result, there was not found in the heavens any further for that old serpent. Keep in mind, old is the opposite of new. So what that's letting you know is that there will be a new devil, which is happening here today. There is a being who is saying, Lucifer, his ways are outdated, and he's struggling to take Lucifer's seat. And trust me, this being has Lucifer and his Luciferians scared. Because, again, the word universe
If I say universal law, uni stands for one, like in unicycle. You see? You have a bicycle, which stands for two. So uni means one. And if I say universe, I'm saying, listen, uni is short for unite. I'm saying anything that verses you, it is inevitable that it must come and stand with you if it is to survive. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad was asked by Louis Lomax when, listen, being interviewed, can the devil be converted? And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, not nowadays, which should have let you know that there was a day coming. Because, again, universal law says that anything that stands against you must unite with you, if indeed it is to survive. It's either that or, without question, Lucifer's days are numbered. See, and without question also, you all have got to know, number one, what this war was being fought over. Many don't know. It tells you there was war in heaven, tells you that Michael and his angels, very powerful quote, letting you know there's two different types of angelic beings. But, again, I'm telling you, they are feeding you dualities that are not realities. Because if I say now the man has become like one of us, he knows one thing good, and he knows the second thing evil, that means that anybody who, listen, came to know good and evil by now should have risen from being a mere caterpillar to a butterfly, or from being a mere piece of coal to a piece of diamond. But has that occurred? No. How do you know? Look in your neighborhoods. What has changed? I don't care what nobody say. If me and you, we go to, say, Home Depot, right? And we got a little apartment, and in this apartment exists nothing there but a very, very nicely laid carpet. You and I, we go into the place, and let me tell you something. Though there's nothing there, we are as happy as faggots in Boys Town. And what do? We start to play and start to wrestle on the rug until we're tired. And I look at you, and you look at me, and say, you know something, I'm hungry. Let's go get something to eat. We get up, we go to McDonald's, we get our little, burger and fries, come back, and oh my God, somebody done broke into our spot and done tracked dirt all over our nice, beautiful rug, which ain't much, but it was ours. So what do? We say, man, we got to clean this up. And so we go to Home Depot. And we get the Hoover, listen now, 6,000. We plug it up and we go room, room, room. And no matter how many times we go room, 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 let me tell you, it does not remove the dirt. So what do you say? Looking at me, you say, man, we got to go back and get the other one. You know, the better one, the Hoover 2,000. I said, well, come on, we go back to the Home Depot, we get the Hoover 2,000, we bring it back, we plug it up, room, room, the dirt's still there. I look at you, I say, man, we got to get the best one they got. The Hoover 1,400. And we take it home, we plug it up, and room, 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 and the dirt's still there. When are we going to realize that the Hoover system is not working? Well, let me explain what I'm talking about. That little apartment we're talking about is the planet that you call Earth. And somebody done broke in here and tracked mud all over the living room floor. Because either you're looking at the issue from, listen, Hell's Kitchen, or you're looking at it from Heaven's living room. Depends upon your viewpoint. And, again, mud has been tracked all over our beautiful floor. And the Hoover system is what we call religion here today. You see, the Hoover 6,000 is Judaism. Question, what has Judaism changed? It's been on the planet for 6,000 years. And the truth of the matter is the condition of the planet is getting worse and worse and worse. What has it changed? The answer is absolutely nothing.
All right, ATUN-RE,
so the dirt is still there. And
hold
then
on
when you go to the Hoover 2,000, that's Christianity. Then let me tell you something. If the Bible had the ability to free us, I mean really free us, do you think they would give you one?
No. Hold on real quick, ATUN-RE, because you got a lot of questions on the line now. First, there was a woman who asked when you got cut off. She wanted to know, because we're over time now, she wanted to know what she was always told that the opposite of love was indifferent. And then 919 and 561, we're going to come to your questions. Let him answer that question. And then we had the brother that asked the question about the moon turning to the sun. So let's get the people's questions answered.
Okay.
So the first question.
The indifference thing, again, depends upon viewpoint. Perspective is solely owned by the individual. It doesn't make it right, doesn't make it wrong, it just makes it yours. And so when you say indifference, that's saying, listen, I live in a state that is different from yours, which is all wise, right, and exact. If indeed you were raised in an environment, listen, that I wasn't, that's what brought about the word difficulty amongst us. Because when you say difficulty, the word difficulty came into existence by the usage of two words being put together, different and culture. Next question.
All right, let's go to the lines. Hold on. Well, answer Brother's question about when the sun will turn to the moon.
When, it should be how, where, and what will cause it. But if you want to know when, the hour, the minute, the second, depends upon the first who so declares it so, which is Anu himself. And that minute, that hour is only known by the Most High Deity. If indeed I was to tell you it's going to happen there, then I would be lying to you. Happen at this minute, I'd be lying to you. But I can tell you the signs to look for. If you have eyes to be able to read the, proverbial handwriting on the wall, so to speak. When you start to see animals, listen, moving sporadically and very, very strangely, you would know that the time is near. You will have a great deal of climactic, changes. You see, because your polarities are not in the proper place. Everything that you are dealing with is dependent upon magnets and electricity. Now, I told you the number is 3, not 2. How can a duality be a reality? And the reality is that all the re's belong to us because that's our last name. You see? And no, either your last name is T or Ray. And the T are older than Ray in so much as that Tuhuti was my father's, ATUN-Re's father and my grandfather. And no, my name was not, King Tut. Because the truth of the matter is they took my grandfather's last name off of, and I don't appreciate that. My name was Tutti. But many will think that indeed I'm lying, but I am not. And nothing I'm saying, is coming to you out of somebody's, little book that they wrote declaring themselves to be an authority. Because you cannot be an authority if you haven't authored something. But the truth of the matter is just because you sit down and write a book does not make you an authority on that to the point that you can say you wrote the book on it. Because Timothy said that all words are inspired by God. That was just his way of trying to legitimize what it was he was saying. But if I feel like sitting down writing a letter to you, that does not mean that the words that come out on that paper, is coming from the Most High Deity. The Most High Deity is declared the Most High God amongst us because of mathematical ability displayed for all eyes to see. You can't declare yourself a piano player unless you play the piano, and damn it, you better play it good. You get up there and play some chopsticks and watch everybody say, that nigga ain't no piano player. So if you are God or goddess, then you have to do something godly. And until you can do that, shut up and sit down, because all you're doing is running your mouth. Meaning, all you are is a being who has been given what it is to be a God. You've been given a concept of what it is to be a God. And until you conceptualize that, meaning you take it and put it into effect, then all you are is a being, a mortal who is sitting around running just because you can pay your rent does not make you a god or a goddess. You see? Because the truth of the matter is, until you can make the wind blow, and I can.
And I can too.
Teach you. And I can teach you. But the first thing you have to do is admit to yourself that you don't know. And the next thing you have to do is admit to yourself, is to want to know. You see, because if you know how people will sit around and say, I know that, them people are damn fools. Because the minute you say, I know that, you can't bring those words back. You can think whatever you want to think. But there's a difference between thinking a thing and speaking a thing. The minute you speak that, let me tell you something. There are beings who are sitting in higher seats of authority than you that are listening to every word you say. And the minute you say, I know that, what they will then say, well, they don't need to know nothing new. And they will literally cut your water off. You and your good thinking you know something self. Wisdom knows that it knows nothing at all. And stupid is as stupid does. And wisdom is as wisdom was, is, and always will be.
Okay.
And the truth of the matter is, wisdom knows it knows nothing at all.
All right.
You better learn to humble yourself out and know what indeed true humility is. Because let me tell you something. To be humble is to be divine. And the truth of the matter is, you are all mind. And the mind that knows, without question, know also that the face it wears can be, mistaken for the face of arrogance. But it's not arrogance that you see. It's just he or she who knows what you know not, speaking to let you know that indeed what they know is true. It's not arrogance that affords them that. In fact, it's humility, because in order for them to know at one time or another, they would have had to sat with their mouths shut and their ears open, because you have two eyes, two ears, and one mouth, which is the mathematics that should give you the ability to know how to grow. Look twice as much as you speak. Listen twice as much as you speak. Because talk without substance is rhetoric. And rhetoric merely means to redirect the mind where it shouldn't be and go in the first place. Everybody's sitting up talking about, this man, that woman. Mind, how much of your own business do you mind? And any dog that'll bring a bone will carry one too.
That's right.
So
hold on, let's go to the line. Lines are popping up.
Anytime somebody comes talking to you about somebody else, raise your eyebrow at the bringer of the information.
That's right.
And I know that many can sit in judgment of me. Without question.
Wait, hold that thought. Let's get to the lines, because we don't want to keep them on that long. Hold on. 919, you're on the air.
I put my hand down, but anyway. I have a question. Something he said earlier about, I think he said, there's no such thing as male and female. Is that correct?
Yes, but there is such thing as feminine and masculine energies. What I mean by that is that in your scriptures it says male and female created he them. In the day they were created and called their names Adam. Adam was not one being. Get that out of your mind. Adam was a tribe, because when you say Adam, you're talking about the physical composition of the being. Adam means black or red mud. You follow me? Adama.
Yeah, I guess.
Now, when you shed the clothing of the body, you don't have fingers, you don't have a nose, you don't have ears, and let alone do you have genitalia. But the jinn will tell you just about anything, to the point that you sit separately in your home, to the point that you're telling your wife, shut up. And the only reason a brother will tell his wife to shut up is because he's scared that woman's going to say something smarter than him. You see? And the truth of the matter is, sisters, when your man starts stuttering, move out the way, because the fool getting ready to slap you. And that's only because you done, reduce them down to mental rubbish. The only time, anybody becomes physical is when they've exhausted what is in the mental. And sisters, any woman who think they don't think faster than men, think again. You niggas think way faster than men do. And the reason being is because you walk and say mommy and daddy faster. You do everything faster than the brother. So you got to have a little bit more sense of compassion, woman. You see? Because the truth of the matter is that's the reason why you got the extra X chromosome in the first place. In the genetic breeding process that was taking place in your garden in Eden. Now, which is still incomplete. You only got 2 chromosomes in a 3-dimensional world, which should tell you something's lacking here. That's about to be completed too. So these new children that are about to be born, watch and see, they will have 3 X chromosomes as little girls and 2 X chromosomes and 1 Y as men. And they are referred to as a geeky. You all are about to find out. Don't worry about it. If you don't believe me, really, I used to say I don't care, but I do.
The full question basically is, if there's no such thing as male and female, why did we come here fragmented? Why didn't we come down here when we fell from the spiritual? Why didn't we come down here as androgynous instead of male and female? And
do you want to know why?
Go ahead. That's my full question.
Okay, if you want to know why, Answer this one question, and you will not only know why in reference to the question you just asked, but you will know why in reference to every why you've ever asked in all your lives. You want to know what the question is?
Go ahead.
Why is why?
Okay.
Mm-hmm. See, now the reason I put that to you is because here's what I will do. I will give you his answer as a gift. Because let me tell you something, the masters who I sat with in the raising of me back to the state of memory in which I now sit, let me tell you something, they made me earn it. It took me 3 years in this life to answer that. 3 solid years of contemplation. And then it came to me like a song I wrote, and I ran to the master. I said, Master, I know the answer now. He said, what is it? He said, the answer to what? I said, the answer to why is why. He said, well, what is the answer? I said, because why exists in a state of is. Why is. And he applauded me. And without question, he then turned to me and told me, I'm going to give you the next level as a gift, like I just gave you the first level as one. Because you all are gifted child and children of the Most High. I'm not a child of the Most High. I'm an elder, and there's a difference. But at the same time, we are all cut from the same piece of fabric from which it is that which is good and all wise, right, and exact comes from. So, you are what I am, and I am just an ordinary guy. But I am a type of ordinary called extra, meaning you don't meet a being who can speak and know as I do and know here all the time or every day. But what I will say to you is, because I love you, I will give you the next level as a gift, like as it was given to me. Now that you have established that why exists in the state of is, now you must establish, well, just what is why. And in order to establish, well, just what why is, you have to first establish, well, just what why is not. And you want to know what why is not, my brother? Why is not a question. Why is a complaint? So much so that that's the only time you put it in the universe. To the point that many of you have become non-grateful beings and will shake your fist at the very heavens and say, why was I even born? And in that you degrade yourself. And you become less than what you was intended to be. You as a child of the Most High, my brother, you can ask, when must this glorious thing happen, O Heavenly Fathers and Mothers? Where will this glorious thing come to be? How will this glorious thing ever be made possible? And what must I do to make it succeed? As a child of the Most High, but as a child of the Most High, you never ask why, because all you're doing is complaining. Okay. Unless you are a master, the master can ask why to lead the minds and the hearts of the congregation in a particular direction, because the master already knows the answer to why before he puts it out. So if you don't know the answer to the question that you declare is a question that indeed is not, then all you're doing is complaining. Because why is, that's just the way it is, bro. Next question.
All right.
Thanks.
We're going to go to 561. 561, you're on the air.
Yes, how you doing, Nikki? Yeah, I have a question. What is your take on the Holy Bible?
First off, you have to first establish what the word holy means, and you then have to establish where the word holy came from before you move to the word Bible, and then you have to repeat that process in terms of the Bible. See, because you all skip over where it says in the beginning was the word. So start with your literal spoken and or, written words. Why? Because words carry power. And how many of you really take the time to read St. John chapter 1, verse 1? Where it says, in the beginning was the word, and the word was with God, and the word was God. Stop. Because if you go to any, Reverend Pork Chop or Pastor Hot Sauce here today, and don't try to embarrass the man, pull him to the side and say, excuse me, bro, I was reading this right here, St. John, chapter 1, verse 1, and here it says, in the beginning was the Word. Can you please tell me what that means? You want to know what they will tell you? And don't believe me, check it out. They will tell you that's Jesus. you could then turn to him and say, well, couldn't the writer of the book, whose name was John, the son of Zebedee, in the year 96 A.D., while on the Isle of Patmos, listen, while writing the book, couldn't he have wrote, in the beginning was the J-E-S-U-S, as easily as he wrote in the beginning was the W-O-R-D, and if he's being honest with you and honest with himself, he would have to say, yes, indeed. And then if he is that honest, you can then turn to him and say, well, it appears to me that you are guilty. And he might say, of what? And I would then say, of adding to it, which is what this book says that you're not supposed to do. So the part where it says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, let me tell you something. Your theologians made a mistake. They forgot that John, the son of Zebedee, was reading from an original Hebrew manuscript of what you call your Old Testament. That the book of Genesis, that is called Genesis here today, which merely means the genealogy of Isis, was never supposed to be called that in the first place. You see? And it said in the beginning, because they thought they were alphabetically slick. Here it is, let me tell you something. These fools, first off, when I say in mathematics that mathematics is an exact science, that is a fact that cannot be denied. When you move one thing in a mathematical equation, all things change. Isn't that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Now, think, my brother, think. Think with me now, all y'all. I want you to go on a ride called a thinking ride. I want y'all to walk with me. I'll hold you and get you there because it's somewhere that we all need to be. And let me tell you something. Think. If mathematics is an exact science, and it is, how is it that you have two geometrical symbols? One called the circle, which is 360 degrees, having 180 degrees of positivity on one side, 180 degrees of negativity on the other, and the other called the square, which has 4 right 90-degree angles, adding up to be 360 degrees. How is it that nobody ever took the time to say, well, wait a minute. If these two symbols add up to be identical in degree, then why do they look different?
Right.
Because according to mathematical law, they should look identical. But they don't. And you want to know why? Because you're looking at two political symbols. Because as it is above, so also it is below. Down here you have a governmental structure called the President of the United States, who then has a cabinet which consists of, listen, the Senate and Congress. Well, in a debate you have pros and cons, correct? The pros stand for the issue, the cons stand against it. So if I say progress, that means to move forward. Don't you know Congress means to move backwards?
Yep.
And that is a governmental structure that is designed to hold the people back in information. They don't want you who are to ever know who you are. Because in the day you start finding out who you are, then you'll start to remember what you can do, which is what they live in a fear of, because they fear what will come out of us next. They fear the next Jimi Hendrix. They fear the next Michael Jackson. They fear the next Muhammad Ali, and so on and so forth. And I would be damn scared too. Especially if there was a being amongst them who had the ability to pull the covers off of what it is I do. I'd be wanting that being to shut up. Matter of fact, I'd be saying, crucify that little red mother, which is the me that's talking here now. Because trust me, when I say they want me to shut up, I ain't just playing the radio, but they can't put me down because they never raised me up in the first place in information and or in outformation and or in misinformation.
I got another question to that, brother.
How in the world can they ever declare my format? Huh?
I got another question. Since you brought up that whole notion of what they fear, do you believe that's the reason why they keep the youth dumbed down by starting trends like this whole Mali epidemic that's keeping the black community basically dumb?
Let me explain something to you. You have a left and right hemisphere of your brain. There is a split in the brain, human brain, that is, I repeat, not supposed to be there. The truth of the matter is that split is deepening. If you look at your children today, their attention span is diminishing.
Yep.
And what I'm saying to you is, most of our children here today, if you can get them to hear a little bit of what you say, and you don't say it quick, because, yo, you in trouble, because they ain't trying to hear that shit. I'm trying to tell you what I know, which is the attention span is diminishing, because did you know that when water is reduced to its purest form, it will not conduct electricity? And that it is only because of electrical current that is running up your spinal column into your brain that opens up what you call snaplets, that you are afforded life, and without that electrical current, you are a thing called dead as dead can be. See, because you are 3/4 water, my brother, and the truth of the matter is water is the conductor of what? Electricity. And here today, and it's sort of funny, now watch this, how certain motherfuckers, parlez-vous français, anyway, how certain rings will hit the lottery, and meanwhile you get a scratch up and can't hit $5. And I'm saying, well, what is really going on? I'll tell you what's going on. In a three-dimensional world, duality cannot be a reality. How many currents of electricity do they give you? Do you know about? You know about two. One called AC, and the other called what? DC, right? But why can't you see that there's supposed to be a third one? And the third one, check this out, is called current C. Figure it out.
That's it.
Ooh. See? Now listen to me. Current what? C. You better open your eyes, my brother, because current C means MONEY. And you ask me why? Well, I'm telling you. The truth of the matter is, if we go in a club right here today, and I see the brother walking around, he got one of them Polaroid cameras, right? And I'll be like, come on, take a picture of me and my brother right here. He's going to click. What are you going to do? He's going to pull it out. He's going to start swinging it, right? And you're going to be like, man, what's taking this out? He said, man, the thing got to develop. And what type of camera is it? A Polaroid camera, right? Well, what you'll see him do is peel away a thing called the what? Negative, right? That then gets thrown into the garbage. And he hands me and you the picture. And be like, whoa, look at this, man, we looking good. But all us fool Negroes are thinking we in the picture. You ain't in the picture. You in the negative. That gets thrown away. Because you can't make no more pictures from that picture. But you can make more pictures from the negative. And let me tell you something. The way you know you ain't in the pictures because your face ain't on the money. Until you start seeing one of your faces on the money, people looking like you and me, then you in the red, you ain't in the green. And because the polarities are out of their proper place, this is why you're having so much problems in your home. Because opposites are not supposed to attract. If you say opposites attract, what you're saying, the root word to an opposite is opposing. So what you're telling me is two opposing forces are attracting to each other. That spells out bloodshed, brother. You feel me? And I don't care what nobody says. The truth of the matter is, if you are a good person, you're supposed to attract to you other good people. The like-minded. If you're intelligent, you're supposed to attract to you the like-minded. But here today, the intelligent amongst us are attracting to us all the mental midgets of the world. One man, woman, and girl. It don't matter. If you're trying to do something right, guaranteed you got a nigga around you that's doing wrong. So, figure it out. The reversing of the polarities is, a necessity. Why do you think the city was called Heliopolis? Because we have a responsibility to heal the polarities of ISIS. Because our women then turn to girls gone wild. And sisters, you all are sick of talking about the brothers. Brothers ain't no better. Because if indeed you see this occurring, brother, why you don't do something instead of trying to turn the sister out, turn her inward so that she can find herself. And maybe be a better mother to the children and a better wife to you. Without putting your hands on a fool. Because any nigga that's around me think he going to belong to the Kick-a-Bitch tribe or Slap a Hoe tribe, I'm cutting his hands off. Some days is come and gone. We ain't got no more time for that foolishness. And will you think your family institution is going to survive, which, mind you, is the greatest family institution in the world? Why? Because all life comes from it, fool. And like Like I said, the only reason the brother's going to tell a sister to shut up in the first place is you scared she's going to say something smarter than you. When you should be learning to listen to the sister. Because, again, the sister say, why don't you stay home? I'll be like, baby, I'm going to get this money. I'll be right. You can't never say, and that'll be the night you go out and the motherfucker say you got the right to remain silent. Anything you can, Sam will be. And then she in the business room talk about, I told you. And God forbid you have to live through that. Because when you go into them institutions, you leave the sister out here alone to fend for herself. And let me tell you, you got some dog-ass niggas out here. I don't like hoes and I don't like whoremongers. And the truth of the matter is, I don't care what you do in the dark, Negro. You better know, doing the doo-doo ain't nothing but some shit. And don't nothing come out of it but some more freaks of nature. It's not nature moving at its finest. It gets a fish on, which is a damn shame. You can't see it. But meanwhile, you and your good dumb self, what do? You put them damn movies in and then forget it's in the DVD, and then the children wake up earlier than you. Yep. And get an eye full. Now, ain't that the truth? And then you wonder why your little son's humping on his sister. You done it. But you want to place the blame on somebody else. I often will say, well, that being, to a woman I say, well, would your husband exist to you and for you if you didn't exist, sister? And to the brother I'll say, well, would your wife exist to you and for you if you didn't exist, brother? And the answer is nothing would exist to you and for you if you didn't exist. So where does it all start? Does it start with her, brother? No, it starts with you. And does it start with him, sister? No, it starts with you. And the minute you two start realizing that, y'all stop blaming each other for whatever goes on. It's called passing the buck. You see?
I have another question for you, too, brother. How do you feel about the role of marriage in today's society and what's happening to marriage?
Very good question. First off, relationships are only afforded to you for a very real and divine reason. But you all get into these relationships for all the wrong reasons. Oh, I was lonely. Oh, I was looking for someone. Oh, I wanted to get my freak on. And here's the worst one of all. Oh, I fell into love. Well, nigga, you wonder why you ended up hurt. Because if you fell, how could you not end up hurt? Nothing you know falls and not feel, falls and is not made to feel something painful. But pain, my brother, let me tell you something. If it don't kill you, it'll just make you stronger. And without question, pain is the one emotion and experience that'll have its way of getting your full attention. Trust me. And if nothing else, it will cause you to do a divine thing called focus. You see? Because without pain, there is no growth. Why do you think the Most High put it there? But there's a day coming where pain will be removed from the equation. And in the end, there shall be only laughter. As a mercy, coming from mercy me, because I asked, and you don't have no idea just how real that is. And I was told yes, because I spoke and said, I think the person, the being who put that pain thing in the contract was a barbarian. Why do they have to feel pain in childbirth? Why do they have to, pick their food through thorns and the sweat off their brow? The Most High said to me, you are one of the most whiningest beings I've ever seen. Why? Well, one thing I will say is that without question, you shouldn't complain. But he said to me also, you remind me of myself, because one thing I will say, it shows you have a mind of your what? Own. And without question, that is in my image and after my likeness. And with that, it's a fact, I can't make you, because everything has to be done by a free will offering. But I will say this, if you agree to go down to that blue box after having seen and coming to know what will occur, I will afford you, 3 things. 1, you will be able to attend my class. And without question, I said, what? Attend your class? He said, in fact, you can sit at my right-hand side. Better than that, you can sit in my lap if you so see fit. And 2, I will make that blue rock my home. I guarantee you this. And 3, I will take the pain clause out. No more crying, no more tears, unless they are tears of joy. And women will no longer feel pain in childbirth and have to go through, the cramps of an administration coming from an administrative office, coming from the God men, what you don't know any further, and your cycle or menstrual without going through menopause, because the God man is never on pause. He's the second in line, meaning he's the son with at whom the Most High is well pleased. The true God of fertility, whose statues or monuments, why? Because we are monumental things. Don't, man, do not play with that one. Because when I say monumental, I'm saying we are one mind. And our sisters that are going to governmental agencies for assistance, you all better stop that shit. Because you are assisting them in your very own demise. The truth of the matter is, welfare, farewell to your husband. Why? Because you get the food stamps in the Section 8. See? And that's what got you all telling the brothers, yo, you better get out of here and get a job. So this is my house, and my this, and my that. And when the brothers come and say, well, how much money you got? I ain't got to tell you how much money I got. I don't even tell my father. Yeah, but you tell them white folks, though. When they say how much you got in your checking and savings account, how many children you got in home, how many, and where's the baby father at, and you lie your way all the way to the finish line knowing where the brother's at the whole time and want to press the brother for some child support that you don't even get supported by. And you can't see that you're going into a governmental agency designed to govern your mind into thinking that you don't need no husband or no brother in your home or no father figure any further. That's why you walk around talking about, I don't need no shit. I don't need no man. And you fool yourself into believing your very own lie. And, brothers, you all are not doing enough to give them something decent to say about you. You don't want them sitting up talking, to the children about you in a bad way. Well, you got to start doing some more good things so that they have some good things to say. But what are you doing? You're sitting around wasting time, worried about what took place yesterday. Question, can you bring back yesterday, yes or no? No. So it should have never been called yesterday in the first place. Why? Because there is no yes in yesterday. You didn't know, now you do. Did you get it done? No. Can you bring it back? No. Do you even know it really even occurred? No. Could have been a dream for all you know. Should have been called no day. And the next question then becomes, does tomorrow ever come? No, because the minute it gets here, it's called today. So all you got is what's going on right now. So stay in the now, because the now is a gift to you. You want to know how you know? Because it's called the present. But you don't hear that, though. And it's wrapped up in a nice, neat little bow, like in Boaz and that which is above and that which is below, which is where you get your circle and the square from, which are two political symbols. Angelic beings, because first we sat in triple darkness. And all there was the voices, sounds, and the frequencies as we spoke and did not miss about every topic that exists. And then to the center of the communicative platform came a topic which will never be forgotten called the topic of divine love, how it should be lived, dispersed, and, viewed. And there were those, though it hurts, who stepped to the center of the communicative platform and said, divine love will be experienced by two, who will travel a course, which is straight and narrow, only enjoyed by few. And on this straight and narrow path, the two inevitably will one day come and hit a force field and or a thing called a wall. And if they want to be right, they will have to make an adjustment, meaning if they want to stay alive, because if they don't do this, then the one will be absorbed by the other, and the individual being will cease to exist. And so, in order to be right, they must turn to the right at a right 90-degree angle, and then by making an adjustment in life, they will then have to take on yet two more. That means like she gets another husband, you get another wife. And that's why many sisters got so many baby daddies with so many children right now, because they declared that this process will repeat itself again and again and again. And that's because all things must come to an end. But then there were those, and they said, this is so because this is how the square so dictates it. And in this, the political symbol of the square was born in your heavenly skies. Like you have Democrats and Republicans down here. You're going to realize, which by using some real eyes and ears, that some real lies have been told to you and that the truth is here.
Right.
But the truth of the matter is that there were then those who stepped to the center of the communicated platform and said, oh, no. Divine love is not experienced like that. Indeed, this is a fact that divine love does not travel a straight and narrow path and designed to be enjoyed by a very few. Divine love is designed to be enjoyed by all who embrace it and who know what to do. If indeed it travels a curvature that is in turn turning as the metamorphosis of it all occurs, taking you from one state to yet another, upward, onward, and spiraling and expanding. And as it returns to its starting point, the two of you have the benefit of the information gathered along the journey from the last cycle. And now your feet are fortified and you can stay together forever. Because if indeed I tell you I love you today and I say, fuck you tomorrow, parlez-vous français, then that means I never loved you in the first place. For love don't give up, love don't walk out, love endures. And that's what's wrong, and that was the establishment and the creation of the divine symbol of the circle of life, which is a political symbol enjoyed and maintained and supported by the angel of Michael, the angelic beings who support the angel Michael himself, of which I am, without question, blowing a horn right here today. You better know it. Figure it out, and then be sure of it, because I'm a sure shot, and no, there was no J's in the Hebrew language. The J's were a part of their alchemy to stop the Lamb of the Most High, because you had the letter Lamet in Hebrew and the letter Lam in Arabic, and what they did was to take the letter, because they knew in alchemy, anything that stands in representation of is indeed a thing. So they took the letter itself and let her and him, who has an ear and eyes to see, hear what it is the angelic being is now saying to the people, which is me, because before Ibrahim I am. And I and my Father am one. Don't believe me. You're about to find out anyway. And I ain't letting you understand. Let you tell it. No, anybody letting me tell that. You got to be qualified to speak this here the way I do.
All right, hold on real quick. We're going to take the last question of the night. Brother Suleiman, you're in the air. 973. Suleiman, you're in the air.
Oh, yeah. Peace. Very powerful show. Very, very powerful. I have a question. My question is actually it's like two parts. But the first part is, how do we tap into our true God abilities? You know, I would really like to know how I will be able to tap into my full God-like abilities.
Now, that is a beautiful child of the Most High right there. He didn't say why. He said how. And let me tell you something. Ask, and you shall have your answer. Seek, and you shall find, and knock, and the door will be open. I'm not spelling it with K, because K is not supposed to be in the English alphabet either. the letter C is a broken circle, and all the C's belong to us. Because it says in Revelation chapter 21, there will be a new heaven and a new earth. For the old heaven and the old earth will pass away, and there will be no more sea. But nobody else can explain, but I'll explain it right here today. Meaning the circle of life will once again be made whole. And decay would have not stopped the three pyramids at Gaza by producing a cuss sound that came after the first cuss sound in what you all know that they tried to use to hurt and to stop the three pyramids at Gaza when they created a thing called the KKK in the first place. Through an alchemy that you all don't know nothing about, and that's why you know nothing about why the bunny rabbit at Easter. Because bunny rabbits don't lay eggs, damn it. And what does a bunny rabbit and an egg have to do with the resurrection of the Messiah? You should have figured that out a long time ago, Nubian. But you didn't, because you never even took the time to find out what the war was being fought over and what war you was really in. Because you were fed two things, which is not your fault, and you were manipulated. And with a frequency that came from Kilimanjaro incident, they've been working you ever since. Because ain't it sort of funny how, two Nubian people, one 19-year-old, a girl, the other one, the brother, 21, fall in love. And let me tell you something, this beautiful thing to see. They love each other. And you can see it in their eyes. And next thing you know, they work hard, get them a little, color TV, little computer, little car, little apartment, whatever. And in 90 days, here it is, they fighting like cats and dogs. And meanwhile, they will break up everything that they done worked hard to get and then look at each other and be like, damn, baby, shit. You realize we did all this over a bag of potato chips? And this is going on across our globe. Coincidence? No. Because anything that happens more than twice is not a coincidence. And what I'm saying to you is, if you open your eyes, you will but see that indeed, in and around the time in which the mountain in Kenya called Kilimanjaro erupted, there was a community of baboons living on the side of that mountain. And they say chimpanzees have the closest brain matter to a human being. And as a matter of fact, they're lying their way there and all the way back too. Because what has the closest brain to a human being is not chimpanzees, it's orangutans and baboons. But they won't tell you that, but you'll see it in movies with Clint Eastwood walking around with that big orangutan that's smarter than Cheetah could ever be. Now, but they won't tell you nothing about, the baboon because of this incident. The type of baboons that was on that hill were called mandrill. And what happened is when the volcano became volcanic and erupted, it did not spew out. It did what you call vented. And it did not spew out hot molten lava. It spewed out, volcanic ash about 100 feet up into the sky. And then mysteriously, to the scientific community, these baboons, for a mysterious reason, out of nowhere, ran down off that mountain and killed every living human being in the valleys below. They made a movie of it called The Night of Kilimanjaro. They found a sound that they labeled a jar. They said, we found a sound. Where did it come from? When the titanium plates in the earth shifted, it created a sound sort of like a dog whistle that you can't hear, but you can hear sometimes. You go, wee, and you're like, you hear that sound? Can't nobody else hear it but you. And meanwhile, this sound caused these mandrills to come running down and kill every living human being. When the titanium plate shifted, and the scientific community went on an outright, escapade and doubled their efforts, tripled them to find out what was going on. And when they did, they said, whoa, now we got what we need. We got a sound that will cause men to throw down and kill each other. And round that, what they did is they kept tweaking that sound, and they went, in the year before 1980, you had groups like Earth, Wind & Fire, Isley Brothers, the Barcades, Confunction, that was enjoying a tremendous success. But the way they were recording was through a thing called analog, which was very expensive to do. But that was real music, y'all. Why? Because you had a real bass player, a real drummer. And the bass player was feeling it, and it was spontaneous, and what was coming from him was an expression of his very soul, and you didn't know what was going to come out that would be so fat to the point that you'd be like, whoa. And everybody was liking and loving our stuff. You think they won't, because we are, listen, you all are vibrating up to a 9 density, producing every color of the rainbow as light beings, etheric light beings who are housed in a physical vessel. But they can only produce no color at all if they are not vibrating past a 6 density. Because color does not occur, listen, until 7 density, at which time you will experience indigo blue, which is why these fools are bungee jumping and jumping out of airplanes, because they need that adrenaline boost to feel alive. But you don't see no brother up there doing that shit. Brother be like, oh, hell no, man, you crazy, man, please. I ain't jumping out. Like, what happened to the parachute? Man, please, y'all crazy. Matter of fact, I want to go up now.
We got 4 minutes before we get cut off.
Fight the pilot to put the plane down.
Well, since we only got 4 minutes, can I ask the second question real quick? The second part of my question was, how do we use our full brain? Because I know they say we have.
Oh, I forgot to tell you, brother. The answer to your question is step 1. You just got to want to. And you got to admit, listen, and you got to really want to. And admit to yourself that you don't know. And never go around and talk about you do. And then it'll come to you, bro. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was saying, well, the second part of the question was, how do we use our full brain capacity? Because I know they say we only use a small part of our... Let me tell you how you do it. Listen to me.
You give me a call. Because read Revelation chapter 2, verse 17, and you'll figure it out. Because I'm the name giver. You'll figure it out. It was the manner by which we got things done then, and it's the manner by which we will get things done right now. And I don't care what monoatomics the ZP Tech and them analytes are producing is not vibrating fast enough to be able to do what it is y'all need done. It is only as good as the alchemist who does the work. And let me tell you, I'm that being. And, I know what to do, but I need the support to be able to do it. The truth is it takes a lot of, venture capital. Because you all, like they have, ACDC, and I told you and informed you about, current C. Don't fool yourself, that's connected to money, meaning Georgia Power will literally turn your, lights out, turn your power off, or Con Edison will con your ass all the way there and all the way back, and you won't get none of that lottery ticket. And, PG&E, I don't care who's pumping yours, electricity is a key element. Now, here in the English language, did you know the English language is the only language, trust me, that has higher case letters and lower case letters on the globe? And in any case, I don't care whether it's high or lower, they taught you as a child, when you write your name, the first letter should always be capitalized, right? Look on your driver's license. Guaranteed all the letters are capital letters. Because what you don't know is everybody knows that America has a deficit. But many don't know what that deficit is for. Let me tell you what it's for. Because when the stock market crashed, what these fools did was to use you and your ass, parlez-vous français.
You bring your phone everywhere. Work, school, the movies. Now you can bring it to an Xfinity store for an easy way to switch to Xfinity Mobile, a new kind of network designed to save you money. You can get up to 5 lines of talk and text included with Xfinity Internet at no extra cost, so all you pay for is data. It's never been easier to switch to Xfinity Mobile and keep the phone you love. Click here to see how. Sorry, I gotta take this. Restrictions apply. Limited to select mobile phones. Requires activation of a new line of Xfinity Mobile. Up to 5 devices per account. New Xfinity Internet customers limited to up to 2 lines pending activation of Internet service.